Hello! Pizza Pax here, and we're back with Outlaws of Thunder Junction Commander Deck number 3. This is Desert Bloom in Naya colors. It says discard lands, grow them back. Let's see what is in here. And yet another one that doesn't want to open right. Oh, come on. It's been a day. Yeah, let's get that background music going. Oh, just why? Alright, we've got too many tokens. That's 6 counters. Yeah, they keep reducing how many cuts they want to put in this packaging. Got an insert, which we'll go over. Okay, then we've got the envelope of goodness. We have our collector booster sample pack, which will have its own video. Theme deck box. Okay. And inside that we have an unthemed spin down life counter. Right. The good old tuck box design. Then we have our insert. It has a quick blurb about the deck, our backup commander, and the commander rules, plus some ads. We have Yuma, Proud Protector. A little blurb about them, and portrait. Right. This is Desert Bloom. I'll try to remember that deck name, but I probably won't. Alright, let's pull in. It's really yellow for some reason. There we go. So now for the deck. What everyone's here to see, right? Alright, starting things off, we have Yuma, Proud Protector. 5, and then Naya, so red, green, white for 6/6. Legendary Human Ranger. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each land card in your graveyard. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may sacrifice a land. If you do, draw a card. Whenever a desert is put into your graveyard from anywhere, create a 4/2 green plant warrior creature token with reach. That goes infinite with a ham sandwich, as they say. And we have Kiri, Talented Sprout. Oh, it's a cute little cactus bean. A 1, red, green, white for a 0/3 legendary plant druid. Other plants and tree folk you control get +2/+0. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, return target plant, tree folk, or land card from your graveyard to your hand. So, probably doesn't need to be said. That works really well with a Ganjo, Beseiju, and Sukenzan. Just something to think of. Granted, you get, 1 back each, but still. Scavenger Grounds. Ooh, it actually works really well with Scavenger Grounds, too. One of the first deserts that we had, it did some cool stuff that wasn't from Arabian Nights. We have Scavenger Grounds, Land, Desert. Taps for colorless. 2, tap, sacrifice a desert. Keep in mind, this is not this, it's any desert. Exile all graveyards. Really good way of mopping up graveyards. Sun Titan. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. This used to be a rather expensive card, believe it or not. Alright. But 4 white for 6/6 Vigilant. Giant. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Also, this has an infinite loop with oh god, why can't I think of the card name? 2 and a white enchantment. When it comes in, exile something. When it leaves, it returns. Oblivion Ring. Oh jeez. Getting old. Couldn't remember Oblivion Ring. Omnath, Locus of Rage. 3 red, green for a 5/5 legendary creature elemental. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token. Whenever Omnath, Locus of Rage, or another elemental you control dies, Omnath deals 3 damage to any target. There's a green creature from the most recent Ravnica. Oh no, I guess it's not the most recent one anymore. It's from either War of the Spark, Guilds of Ravnica, or Ravnica Legions, I believe, that turns all of your creatures into lands. So this just goes infinite with that. You play a land with that in play, or maybe you just play that and play with this in play. You get infinite creatures. Descend upon the sinful. Actually, I don't know if there's any way to stop that. That might actually just draw out the game. Well, no, I guess if you have a sack outlet, you could win in response to one of the triggers. But yeah, you would have to have something to do with them. Well, I mean, that in a sack outlet, you can just kill all your opponents. Descend upon the sinful. 4 and a white. Sorcery. Exile all creatures. Delirium. Create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. So, good one. Little Chromatic Lantern. Commander All-Star. 3 mana artifact. Lands you control tap for 1 of any mana. And then this also taps for 1 of any color. Marshal's Anthem. 2 white enchantment with multi-kicker, 1 and a white. You may pay an additional 1 and a white any number of times as you cast a spell. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever it enters the battlefield, return up to X target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the number of times Marshal's Anthem was kicked. So it is a multi-reanimate, which is nice. Strapped to an Anthem effect. Sheltered Thicket. Hitting the lands kind of early. Is a mountain forest. Enters tapped. It cycles for 2. Very nice. Scoot Swarm. Speaking of landfall stuff that does silly stuff. 2 and a green for a 1/1 creature insect with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. If you control 6 or more lands, create a token that's a copy of Scoot Swarm instead. Again, this goes infinite with the creature that makes all your creatures lands, or forests specifically, I believe. Hour of Promise. Oh, this was a fun one back in Hour of Devastation. But 4 and a green sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 land cards. Keep in mind that's land cards, not basic lands. Very important. This can grab all kinds of stuff like Gaia's Cradle and other things. Gaia's Cradle's just the first one that comes to mind. Search your library for up to 2 land cards. Put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Oh, well, not in this deck, but in other decks you can use this to grab Bedruka Bog, which is really, really handy. Then shuffle. If you control 3 or more deserts, create 2 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. Oracle of Moldiah. Another all-star. 3 and a green for a 2/2 elf shaman. Although I guess this one has fallen off a bit. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may play lands from the top of your library. Very nice. Goes well with like Courser of Crufix and Ramonap Excavator. and Crucible of Worlds as well. Ramanap Excavator. It's a Crucible of World with legs. 2 and a green for 2/3 Naga Cleric. You may play land cards from your graveyard. Short, to the point, sweet. Scattered Groves. So with cycling lands and Ramanap Excavator or Crucible of Worlds, anything that lets you play lands from the graveyard, you can get additional value by cycling your lands and then just playing them from the graveyard. Yeah. Then there's, of course, all the different Is Fast Bond legal in Commander? The classic one is Fast Bond, Zuran Orb, and then Crucible of Worlds, or Ramanap Excavator. Either one works. But it gets you infinite life, infinite mana, infinite ETBs on lands. Yeah, good times. Scattered Groves, Forest Plains, enters tapped, cycles for 2. Goes really well with Excavator. World Shaper, 3 and a green for a 3/3 Merfolk Shaman. Whenever it attacks, you may mill 3 cards. Whenever it dies, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So it is a Splendid Reclamation. That's a body. There's another thing in Standard that does something similar. Nesting Dragon, 3 red for 5/4 dragon with flying. And landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0/2 red dragon egg creature token with Defender. And when this creature dies, create a 2/2 red dragon creature token with flying. And red, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Fire breathing. Alright. Turntimber Sower. 2 and a green for 3/3 Elf Druid. Whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, create a 0/1 green plant creature token. Green, sacrifice 3 creatures, return target land card from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, that has not held up well. Savine's Reclamation. 2 and a white, sorcery, return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If the spell is cast from your graveyard, you may copy this spell and choose a new target for the copy. Flashback, 4 and a white. So flashback, you may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. Ancient Green Warden. Another Crucible effect on a body. This is 4 green for a 5/7 elemental with reach. You may play lands from your graveyard. If a land entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So it's a Crucible of Worlds and a Panharmonicon 4 lands stapled together on a 5/7 body. Very nice. With reach. Titania, Protector of Argoth. 3 green for a 5/3. This shows up in Vintage Cube all the time, by the way. It's a fun card with land strategies. Legendary creature, Elemental. Whenever Titania, Protector of Argoth, enters the battlefield, return target land from your graveyard to the battlefield. Whenever a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. Very nice. Return of the Wildspeaker. 4 and a green, instant, choose 1. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Very nice. Perennial Behemoth, which is currently in Standard, I believe. I'm pretty sure. 5 mana, 2/7, artifact creature beast. You may play lands from your graveyard. I think there's a theme here. And then Unearth green. So for green, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step, or if it would leave the battlefield. Unearth only as a sorcery. Avenger of Zendikar. An old head commander favorite. 5 green for a 5/5 elemental. When it enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 green plant creature token for each land you control. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a +1/+1 counter on each plant creature you control. It's very silly very quickly. Hazazon, or Hazon. Hazon, Shaper of Sand. I like Hazazon. Red, green, white. So this can be a secret alternate commander for this deck. 3/3 Desert Walk. It's a fun. Or for a 3/3 legendary human warrior with Desert Walk. This creature can't be blocked as long as defending player controls a desert. You may play desert lands from your graveyard. There is a theme here, and they are just clobbering us on the head with it, which is play lands from your graveyard. Whenever a desert enters the battlefield under your control, create 2 1/1 red, green, and white Sand Warrior creature tokens. Ooh, that's fun. Escape to the Wilds. This was a very, very good card in Throne of Eldraine standard, but 3 red, green, sorcery, exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may play land cards, you may play cards exiled this way until the end of your next turn. You may play an additional land this turn. Always very nice. Heaven to Earth. Heavenside. X and a green, instant. Deals X damage to each creature with flying. Earth. X, red, red, sorcery with Aftermath. Cast a spell from your graveyard, then exile it. Earth deals X damage to each creature without flying. Genesis Hydra. Oh, this one has been fun over the years. X, green, green for a 0/0 plant Hydra. When you cast a spell, reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put a non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then shuffle the rest of your library. Genesis Hydra enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So if you can generate a lot of mana, you can just pick a card from your deck and put it into play. Effectively. I have seen people dump 30 mana into this card. And it was not unreasonable. It was very funny though. Sunscorched Divide. This is one of the new filter lands. For 1 tap, you get red, white. Nice. The Mending of Dominaria. This one was a lot of fun. And Dominaria Emencut standard. But 3 green, green. Mill 2 cards, then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. For chapters 1 and 2. It's an enchantment saga, sorry. Chapter 3, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then shuffle your graveyard into your library. So this was from the set where they first introduced sagas. It's still a great saga. Like, it still does a lot of fun stuff. Decimate. This just saw a reprint in the Off the Press, aka Breaking News set, or subset in Outlaws of Thunder Junction. But 2 red-green sorcery, destroy target artifact, target creature, target enchantment, and target land. Oh, they actually put the reminder text on this now. You can't cast a spell unless you have legal choices for all of its targets. Cards like this have been the bane of judges over the years for having to explain that to players. Because for some reason, people just do not understand. If it explicitly says target, an instance of target, you have to have a legal instance to target. Now, if there is a artifact, creature, enchantment, land in play, you can choose the same thing for all 4 targets, but that's not the point. You have to have 4 targets. Sand Scout. 1 and a white for 2/2 human scout. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library for a desert card. Put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Ooh, nice catch-up mechanic there. Whenever 1 or more lands are put into your graveyard from anywhere, create a 1/1 red, green, and white Sand Warrior creature token. This ability only triggers once each turn. The ability triggers only once each turn. It's such a cop-out. That's just bad design, in my opinion. But Embrace the Unknown. 2 and a red, sorcery. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Retrace. You may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying its other costs. You know, I always thought it would be really funny if there was a retrace card that just said, put a land back into your hand from your graveyard. You know, make it a green, for a green. Retrace as a sorcery. Return target land from your graveyard to your hand. Retrace. That would just be funny. It would also be very good. It would be an amazing card. I would play that in a heartbeat. Dune Chanter. 2 and a green for a 2/3. Plant Druid with Reach. Lands you control and land cards you own that aren't on the battlefield are deserts in addition to their other types. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Very nice. Tap, mill 2 cards. You gain 1 life for each land card milled this way. That is cool. That is a really cool enabler. It has way too much text on it. It has way, way, way too much text on it. But that's neat. Each card doesn't need to be War and Peace. It just doesn't. It doesn't need to be, you know, a treatise on abilities. Like, it just... Ugh. It's so exhausting to remember new cards now. Cataclysmic Prospecting. X red sorcery. It deals X damage to each creature. For each mana from a desert spent to cast this spell, create a tapped treasure token. Okay. Vengeful Regrowth. 4 green sorcery. Return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Create that many 4/2 green plant warrior creature tokens with Reach. Flashback. 6 green. That's pretty cool. Nice little ramp card too. Angel of Indemnity. 5 and a white for 5/5 creature Angel Warrior with flying and lifelink. Enters the battlefield. Return target permanent card with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Encore. 6 white. Okay, Encore is for 6 white. Exile this card from your graveyard. For each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn if able. They gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. So that... I mean, that's really cool. When you do the Encore, you get, you know, 3 things back. So, I mean, that's neat. And gain 15 life, potentially. Cactus Preserve. Oh, I really like the art on that. Land Desert. Enters the battlefield tapped. Tap, add 1 mana of any type that a land you control could produce. Okay, that's not so bad. 3. Until end of turn, Cactus Preserve becomes an XX green plant creature with Reach, where X is the greatest mana value among your commanders? It's still land. Why did it have to be commanders? Like, this just makes this card only playable in Commander. This could have been really cool for Legacy and Vintage, but come on. Rumbleweed. Oh, this is cool. Oh, wait, is this the one that's been kind of blowing up in No, this isn't the one that's been blowing up in Legacy. I'm thinking of something from Fallout. 10 and a green for an 8/8 plant elemental. The spell costs 1 less for each land card in your graveyard. See, this would have been really fun to have available in Modern, but it also has too many keywords. Vigilance, Reach, Trample. When it enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain Trample until end of turn. So it is Overrun stapled onto an 8/8 with Vigilance, Reach, and Trample that can cost 1 mana. Oh, yeah, cards aren't pushed. Jeez. That is too much. That's too many words. You did not need to do that. You could have, you know, not done, like, the whole bottom half of this card. Other than an 8/8, and it would have been fantastic. But no, you had to just push it that much far. This is power creep. This is bad for the game. Sorry, I shouldn't get upset about it. It's just, I find it really frustrating sometimes, the level of power creep that they've been doing the last 4 or 5 years. There have been other instances of power creep over the years, but the last several have been especially egregious. Terramorphic Expanse. Taps for, tap and sacrifice it. Search your library for a basic, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Evolving Wilds literally does exactly the same thing. These are functional equivalents. Swiftfoot Boots. 2-mana artifact equipment. Equip creature as hexproof and haste. Equip 1. Really nice for protecting something that you want to protect. Explore. 1 and a green. Sorcery. You may play an additional land this turn. Draw a card. Such an iconic card that this effect is often referred to as exploring. Soul Ring. We all know what it does by now, but it's a 1-mana artifact that taps for 2. One of the best cards you can put in your commander deck, which is why it is in literally every commander deck. With very rare exception. Satyr Wayfinder. 1 and a green for a 1/1 Satyr. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. Nice way of self-mill and getting your land drops. Perpetual Timepiece. I believe this was from Kaladesh. Yeah. It's either Kaladesh or Aether Revolt. 2-mana artifact. Tap, mill 2 cards. 2. Exile Perpetual Timepiece. Shuffle any number of target cards from your graveyard into your library. Very nice. Nice way to keep yourself from milling out, too. Crawling Sensation. 2 and a green enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill 2 cards. Whenever 1 or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. See, even for the first time each turn, just sounds better than this only triggers once each turn. It's just better design. It feels less awkward. Painted Bluffs. Land Desert. Tap, add a colorless. 1 tap, filter to any color. Command Tower. Taps for your commander's color identity. That does by now. Magmatic Insight. Oh, I loved this card when it was on standard. For red, sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a land. Draw 2 cards. Very nice. Crimson Verge. Enters battlefield, tap. Taps for colorless. 2, tap and sacrifice it. Search your library for a forest card and a plains card. Put them onto the battlefield, tap, and shuffle. Keep in mind this gets duels. So if it has the type of forest or the type of plains, you can put it into play off of that. Also gets triomes, which is pretty cool. / hideouts. Desert of the True. Land Desert. Enters the battlefield tapped, taps for a white, and then cycles for 1 and a white. I do wish the deserts cycled for just 1 of their color, though. Always wish that. Would have been really nice. The one makes it a little awkward. Skullwinder. 2 and a green for a 1/3. Snake with Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, return target card from a graveyard to your hand, then choose an opponent. That player returns a card from their graveyard to their hand. Desert of the Indomitable. Does the same thing as the Desert of the Forgotten. Or Desert of the True, rather. Desert of the Forgotten might be the red one. Land Desert. Enters tapped. Taps for green. Cycles for 1 and a green. Jungle Shrine. Wedge land for Naya. Enters tapped. Taps for red, green, or white. Bitter Reunion. Actually in standard. 1 in red, enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. 1 and sacrifice it. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. Desert of the Fervent. What's Desert of the Forgotten, then? I don't know. Desert of the Fervent. Land Desert. Enters the battlefield tapped. Tap for a red. Cycling. 1 in a red. Ramanap Ruins actually would be really good in this deck. Ramanap Ruins was so good it was banned in standard. It's just a repeatable shock on land. That costs 4. Valorous Stance, also in standard right now, believe it or not. 1 and a white. Instant. Choose 1. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. Damage and effects that say destroy, don't destroy it. Destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Great way of getting rid of Shouldered, by the way. Dunes of the Dead. Land, desert, taps for colorless. When it is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create 2/2 black zombie creature token. Yes, this card is bad. It's okay. Oh, you know what? Field of the Dead would be pretty sweet in this. Sheffet Dunes. Taps for... Oh, we might actually get the... might actually get Ramanap Ruins in here. Tap for colorless. Tap, pay a life, add a white. And then 2 white, tap, sacrifice a desert. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Hashtag Oasis. Yeah, we're probably going to get Ramanap Ruins in here. Land, desert, taps for colorless. 1, pay a life, tap, add a green. Or rather, tap, pay a life, add a green. It's a pain land for green. 1 green, tap, sacrifice a desert. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Elvish Rejuvenator. 2 and a green for a 1/1 elf druid. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Nice, and slightly ramps you. Winding Way. This sees play in Legacy lands. It is a very good card, although it won't necessarily seem like it. It is effectively another mulch. 1 in a green, sorcery. Choose creature or land. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all cards of the chosen type revealed this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Springbloom Druid. 2 and a green for a 1/1 elf druid. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a land. If you do, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. This is Harrow on a body. And Harrow was a very good card when it was in standard. So, something to consider. Arcane Signet. 2-mana artifact. Taps for your commander's color identity. We all know what this is by now, but still gotta cover it. Unholy Heat. Okay. This was from Modern Horizons. Or, Modern Horizons 2. Still sees play in Legacy. Sees play in Modern. Just a very good removal spell. Occasionally shows up in Vintage, although not super often anymore. But for red, instant. Deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Delirium, it deals 6 damage instead if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Really great way of getting rid of stuff like Murktide Regents, Renin 6. It's fantastic for dealing with Ragavan. Thrilling Discovery. Wait, is this in standard? This is either in standard or it just rotated out with the most recent rotation, which granted has been a little while. Red-white, sorcery. You gain 2 life, then you may discard 2 cards. If you do, draw 3 cards. Yeah, I think this actually rotated. I think this was in Strixhaven. Electric Revelation. 2 and a red, instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card. Draw 2 cards. Flashback. 3 and a red. Eccentric Farmer. Did they really not put Ramanap Ruins in here? Like, I'm gonna be sad. Eccentric Farmer. 2 and a red. Creature human peasant. It is a 2/3 human peasant. When it enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. Then you may return a land card from your graveyard to your hand. Speaking of Harrow, it's Harrow. 2 and a green, instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a land. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Oh, thank goodness. I thought I was going to have to write a letter to Wizards. A very angry letter to Wizards. It would have been, you had a deck called Desert Bloom, That was in Naya colors, and you didn't include Ramanap ruins? What is wrong with you people? But luckily I don't have to write that letter. Ramanap ruins. Land, desert. Taps for a colorless. Tap, pay a life. Add a red. 2, red, red. Sacrifice a desert. Ramanap ruins deals 2 damage to each opponent. I'm gonna say that again. 2, red, red. Tap, sacrifice a desert. It deals 2 damage to each opponent. It doesn't seem like much, but this ends games. Path to Exile. White instant. Exile target creature. Its controller may search for their library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Requisition Raid. Hey, one of the cards from the actual set. For a white, you get a sorcery with Spree. Choose one or more additional costs. 1, destroy target artifact. 1, destroy target enchantment. 1, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. Works very well with Agatha's Soul Cauldron, by the way. Bovine Intervention, also from the set. 1 and a white, instant, destroy target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 2/2 white ox creature token. Really good way of interrupting a few different cards in standard at the moment. Map the Frontier. 3 and a green, sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and or desert cards. Put them onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. You know, nice Ranger's Path effect. Really good. Conduit Pylons. Land, desert. When it enters the battlefield, surveil 1. Look at the top card of your library. You may put it into your graveyard. Taps for a colorless. Filters for 1. Or filters to any color for 1. Mirage Mesa. Land, desert. Enters the battlefield tapped. As it enters, choose a color. Tap, add 1 mana of the chosen color. So these are both basics, or not basics, commons, so they do go in Pauper. Wreck and Rebuild. 1 red-green, sorcery. Choose 1, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Mill 5 cards, then you may put a land card from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped, and then it has flashback 3 red-green. Very nice. Angel of the Ruins. 5 white for a 5/7 artifact creature angel. With flying, when it enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target artifacts or enchantments. Plane cycling for 2. Discard this card. 2. Discard this card. Search your library for a plains card. Reveal it. Put it into your hand. Then shuffle. Bristling Backwoods. The new common deserts or desert duels I really like. Land, desert, enters tapped. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. So this is a crime. When you play this, you crimin'. Tap, add red or green. Creosote Heath, exact same thing, but green or white. Braided Bluffs, exact same thing, except white or red. Scare Tiller. That's a fun one. 4 mana, 1/4, artifact creature Scarecrow. Scarecrow used to be a very important creature type. Well, specifically for Commander. Scarecrow King was a fantastic card, but that was an age long past. Whenever it becomes tapped, choose 1. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, or return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. A lot of fun with anything that untaps creatures on lands entering, or if you have a way of doing that. Nantuko Cultivator, 3 and a green for a 2/2 Insect Druid. When it enters the battlefield, you may discard any number of land cards, put that many +1/+1 counters on Nantuko Cultivator, and draw that many cards. This was great flood protection when it was in standard. I miss this card sometimes. Then we've hit our basics. We have plains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plains. That seems like a... There weren't any pain lands in this deck. Huh. Interesting. We have mountains. 1, 2, 3, 4 mountains. We have forests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 forests. You know, they could have, tossed us some Carplusian Forest or Battlefield Forge or two, although I think that's in one of the other decks. Yeah, I think that's in the Mardu deck. Yeah, or, Brushland. Brushland would have been great. You know what? Why hold out on us, Wizards? Like, they're just pain lands. They're not that expensive. But we have our tokens. We have Insect, Elemental, 1/1 Insect, 5/4 or 5/3 Elemental. Then we have a 5/5 Elemental with a 4/4 Flying Angel, a 0/1 Plant token that looks like its leaves are bows. Like that's a really cool plant. With a multicolor Sand Warrior, 1/1. Black 2/2 Zombie. A 2/2 Ox. That's a thing. A 4/2 Plant Warrior with Reach. Reach for the sky. Man, he is just strapped to the gills, isn't he? 1, 2, 3. He's just blasting. With a treasure token on the back. Then we have a dragon egg at 0/2 that makes a dragon when it dies. Please tell me the dragon token is on the back of this. Oh yeah. Alright, that's actually decent design. The token that is made from this is on the back of it. I really like that. It shows me that there was a little bit of forethought put into this. We have another 4/2 Reach Plant Warrior with a plant on the back. We have our bounties. Our bounties. Lord Fajal? Or Fayal? At the beginning of your end step, if a land card was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, collect your reward. So, the Wanted, which is what these cards are. Before the game, shuffle at least 6 bounty cards into a face-down pile. At the starting player's third turn begins, or as the starting player's third turn begins, reveal the top bounty card. Claim the revealed bounty during your turn and collect your reward. As each turn begins, if no bounty is being offered, reveal the next one. Pile is empty, shuffle all claimed bounties to restock. The bounty when unclaimed last turn, increase its reward to the next level. Then rewards. It has 4 levels. You have 1, create a treasure token. 2, create 2. 3, create 2 treasure tokens or draw a card. And 4, the max, create 2 treasure tokens and draw a card. Alright, next we have Pack, Fleeting Filcher. Okay, at the beginning of your end step, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, collect your rewards if you have Delirium. And then we have Vera Beth Hannifer. At the beginning of your end step, the nearest opponent to your right as the turn began was dealt combat damage this turn, collect your reward. Okay. Yeah, very nice. Then we have our turn order reminder and format reminder. That's a thing. Alright, well, thank you for joining me on this adventure with Desert Bloom. Kind of wish Orlando Bloom was an option. Like, I guess if you mix the Lord of the Rings cards in here, you could have Orlando Bloom, or rather his likeness in here. I don't know why he just popped in my head. Oh, I watched an interview with him like 2 or 3 days ago. That's probably why. But yeah, thank you for joining me on this adventure to Thunder Junction with Desert Bloom. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below what lands do you think should have been in this deck. Really glad Raminab Ruins was in here, because I was going to be so mad if it wasn't. Until next time, stay awesome. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.